Hey guys, Justin here. Quick note, I think that it might be a faster lap on the second lap than the first lap, but I did my hot lap here on the first, so I think you guys can go ahead and try for first lap. I really like that because you get 2 attempts at it as opposed to 1 attempt at a second lap qualifying. As always, if this guide was helpful for you or you learned something new, please leave a like on this video as it's the best way to help me out. And subscribe if you want to see Arca guides on Mondays and truck guides on Tuesdays. But anyways, let's get right to the lap. The sun was out, but now that the clouds are out and the shade is out, I'm like gaining half a tenth every time I do one. This is a lot more fun to practice now that I'm just committing to doing first lap. That might be a factor too, up in the mental.
So going back to the money-making scheme thing, I'm going to mention that you're unlikely per hour of your time put in to make more than you make at McDonald's. The only reason you should ever do anything like this is because it's going to make you feel good and it's going to be fun.
Yeah. Well, no, I know that too.
Yeah, internet swag points for having 100 paid subscribers, and that's a goal to make, that you can point at and say, hey, look.
Well, if I have 100 paid subscribers, it's a pretty good hourly rate now.
Yeah, well, that's about the point, I think, where you're going to break even with McDonald's.
Yeah, I think I need to.
Based on 2 videos.
Yeah. I think I'm going to wait to grow a little more.
Then I'm going to suggest McDonald's again, because that'll definitely help your waistline if you want to grow a little.
Alright, let's take a look at that. So we're going to do something really weird to get speed coming to the line because this corner is relatively slow, relatively low grip. So we're going to get it into third really, really early and then turn down. So I never go above this darker lane because turning down from much higher doesn't really do anything for you. So I start in the darker lane here. And so I kind of lower myself into the darker lane, get myself into third really early, and just kind of hover it at a speed where I'm not losing the rears at all. And then once you see this curb back here, there's going to be a curb back here. So not this curb. This curb's not the one you're looking for. The one right after it. And you'll see that in a little bit here. You want to make a straight shot. You see? So the curb goes from the spiny stuff into the smooth, and right when it goes into the smooth is when you want to straighten the car out and full throttle it. Full throttle, drive it all the way up, and we want to shift it as close to the 8,000 as possible. This is how you're going to maximize speed. If you short shift this and you're shifting it at like maybe right here at like 7,500, and then you're going to lose probably with how long of the straight this is, probably a tenth at least. So we get it as close to the as possible. We get it into fourth, and we're just green all the way down the straight. And that's how you carry the most speed possible off with 3 for your hot lap. And now let's go into turn 1 here. So braking point for you is going to be a little bit past the 1. We're just going to drive past the 1 for like a beat. If you think about like music, like a beat past the 1 is when I like to brake. And we get 30 to 40% on the brake here. And we're going to want to take a line that goes all the way down and apexes at the bottom. So we do that, but to get extra rotation, so about halfway down the hill, your car is going to be settled in this downhill trend. And so when that happens is right when I throw it into third. So I get it into third. And if you get this with the right timing, the car is still going to keep wrapping on the curb, except you don't want to touch the curb. And then right there's a bump. So you're going to feel a bump in about the center of the corner. Bump. And you want to go straight through that bump as much as possible, and then full gas up right after. And then again, wait until the 8,000, as close to the 8,000 without hitting the chip as possible. So let's take a look at that all the way through without pausing. So brake, drag, bring it back down to a drag, put it into third, pick up the throttle, straighten out the wheel to hit the bump, ride it around the curb, pick up the throttle again in third, bring it all the way up to 8,000, throw it into fourth, and that's a good one. And now turn 2 is what I struggle the most in. You'll see that in the race. So what we're going to do at turn 2 is I like to turn off the wall at about when the walls change surfaces. So we go from this type of surface to this type of surface. And I don't really know how else to describe that, but that's when I flick the car off the wall, and we call that a flick. I call it a flick. There's some other names for it. Flick it for the angle, straighten it back out momentarily, then drag your brake at 10 to 20 miles an hour, and then throttle up early. And if you do this correctly, your car is going to be driving off the right rear, not the right front. So driving off the right rear is loose, driving off the right front is tight. We want it loose in this scenario. We want the combination of loose plus late apex. And that's how we're going to get a lot of speed off the corner. You see how I get loose there? So look at that one more time. Flick it off the wall, drag brake, early throttle, get it on the right rear, get it loose, drive it really hard off. And that's a decent 2. All right, now we're going to go to 3. So again, we're going to drive a little bit past the 1, drag the brake, bring it all the way down, very, very slow downhill momentum to the curb. So where are we going to be aiming? Let's take a look here. So we can't even see from here when you want to end your downhill smooth trajectory. Probably about like right here. Probably like about right here. Really, really far along in the corner when you want to apex. This is a long sweeping corner. So we bring it from a really small brake drag, and then we kind of hook it. So you see the corner kind of tightens up a little bit because we're going down the hill, and then there's this little tiny bump where we can start hooking the curb like this. And when we are able to get that hook motion, so a little bit past this curb, so you see where the curb breaks for the access road, a little bit past there is when you'll feel the car kind of hook on the curb. You'll think you're going to be hitting the curb at first, but your car is actually kind of loose and turning like this. So with that combination, you can throttle at about 75%, maybe 2/3, and you can just mash it in fourth all the way off the corner. I don't think third is faster for hot lap. I think that it bogs down a little, or it doesn't bog down, but you just can't get enough out of third gear. So it's going to get a little loose if you get that correct, but that's how you do a qualifying lap at Pocono. Not in a very good mood right now, but all in all, a good race. Blew it on the last corner, last lap. We'll see that later. So anyways, things you need to remember for the race. Things you need to remember for the race here is that I qualified second here, so I just decided to go into saving mode because draft is going to keep everyone together until tires start wearing. So if you can defend your position and save your tires, you're set up very well for the end. So we're just in line, just running normal lines, pretty much the same as qualifying with just a little more patience, smoother on the throttle. So you see, really keeping it at half throttle until I have to. Nothing with full throttle mashing here. And the other thing is I started shifting in turn 3 very early. I think it was about lap 5 or so, maybe lap 6. And we'll go into the cockpit for that. So turn 1, same idea on the long run. Shift, bring it all the way down to the bottom. The first place guy here, he decided to run top for the race, burned his tires, he fell back later on. So here we go. Here, going into turn 2, this was far and away my worst corner. This is what ended up costing me. But you just have to get the timing right. You got to get your brake and you gotta drive it down, late apex it, and try to drive it off. I must have missed this corner about half of the laps, and it was only made up from the fact that I was really good in both 1 and 3. If I was good in 2 in any way, this would not have been a sweat. But you see, we got into 3rd and we drove it off like that. So let's look at that one more time. This is what an early shifting line looks like. So we're gonna big arc it into the corner, throw it in when the revs get low enough, and pick up the throttle to about half. We wrap it around the curb, and then once we see daylight on the corner exit is when we full throttle, and then make sure not to hit the chip. So we do that. And so let's take a look at how we pass at this track, because it is interesting. So we were trying to pass here. He made a mistake in 2. Capitalizing on mistakes and Pocono is going to be very key. So I try to dive under him into 3. Let's take a look at him blimp. He squeezes me pretty hard, so I have no choice but to just throw it into 3rd and try to straight shot it. And from there, I have no run. I'm just going to fall back into line. But you get the draft. See this draft? That's a nice draft. And I get to his quarter. He's going to try to block me, but there's not really much he can do. If he's going to block me all the way down, he's going to block me all the way down, but I'm there. And here, you can short shift it, try to get as much throttle down as possible. He squeezes incredibly hard. But even with that, because we're on superior tires, we're able to be even. And so he's trying to keep me down into 2, but I'm trying to keep him up. And I thought I could get him clear into here, but it just didn't work out. So I really just kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt. I knew that if we stayed side by side here, then I would have a good chance into 3. And so here, throw it into 3rd, throttle up quickly, really close racing, but I'm able to power down earlier than him because he squeezed me down so hard. And because of that, I'm able to get a run. He's going to chase me all the way down the track. I don't quite clear him, but this position into 1 is very good for me. I don't know what he's doing there, but I dive it in so that he doesn't wreck me. You can dive it in for 1 time and just throw it into 3rd and be just fine. And he pays the price for trying to push me in. And that's how we get the lead. So that was a good series there, and I really thought I had a chance. I was doing good, and we just go to the last lap, and here's a good lesson for you guys. We'll turn this into a learning moment. So we're holding off Thomas. Really, if we run a decent lap, he can't do anything about us. But we're just struggling into 2 at this point. And when we're struggling into 2, what is the worst possible thing you can do? The answer is throw yourself out of your rhythm. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to break his draft. But he was never going to get side by side with me from that far back. So I don't know why I broke the draft. I'm out of my rhythm. I get back up here. I enter late. I miss my entry. I have to check up. And he hits it perfectly. And I should have blocked low here. I really should have blocked low here. But he gets under me, and I think I might have a chance. But he gets it into 3rd really quickly, and he does really well. So that's how you capitalize on a mistake in that situation. A lot of things I could have done to get the win here. But all in all, good race. I hate Pocono, so we'll take it. We'll take it. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Feel free to leave a comment down below if you have any questions. Join the Discord, and I hope to see you all on the track.